What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at Hulk. You see, Hulk is not out yet. Hulk is not actually out for a little while, unfortunately. The release has been delayed until August 2020. But we do have a bunch of new spoilers that have come out from lovely folks in the community, from other content creators. So I think we need to start taking a look at the Hulk deck, both what we saw before as a quick reminder and the new stuff that has come out. As always, we will give them a shout out when we get there. These content creators are working really hard to further the cause of a game that we love. They are making content to spread the word and spread the love about a game that we love. Please make sure you give them love. I'll pop a bunch of links in the description. Check them out. Because you know what? We need content creators like these lovely people showing everyone how great this game is so the game stays around and stays healthy. Now, Hulk, of course, we did see before. One of the weird things about Hulk is zero thwart. Yowza. Now, it does have free attack, which is very big. It does have free defense, which is very big. But it also has a skill that says at the end of your turn, you have to discard your hand. Now, it has been officially confirmed that you do draw until you got 4 cards in hand. That is Hulk's hand size. But you've got big attack, big defense, low hand size, no thwart, and you cannot stash any cards in your hand because you're going to have to discard them. That is a bad thing. Now, having said that, you've also got 18 hit points, which is gigantic, and Bruce Banner has a recovery of 4, which is very large, and an action that lets you draw a card and discard a card from your hand, and because you don't have to exhaust Bruce Banner to do that, you can do that in addition to attacking, etc. So Hulk has some very big upsides and some very big downsides, and we've seen some ridiculous cards that Hulk has got. Hulk Smash is a free cost event, but you get plus 10 attack. And if you only paid using physical resources, you also gain overkill. You can take out a minion and the extra damage goes on to the villain. We've seen Immovable Object that gives you plus 4 hit points and retaliate 1. So now you're up to 22 hit points, which is ludicrous. And you deal a damage when you get attacked, which is kind of dumb. And Boundless Rage can give you an extra 1 attack as a 1-cost upgrade that would only last until you change form. When you go back to Bruce Banner, you lose it. But then you're up to 4 attack. Unstoppable Force lets you ready Hulk. And if you only paid using physical resources, you draw a card. And we've even seen Limitless Strength, which gives you free physical resources, which does mirror the card we saw from Captain Marvel in the base set. We've even seen Toe to Toe, a 1-cost event that deals 5 damage. But only when you make an enemy attack you. They attack you, then you deal 5 damage to them. So what we're seeing here, and this probably shouldn't surprise you, Hulk is full bore aggression. But then again, it is Hulk. What would you expect? Now, the good news is we have actually seen a couple of cards previously which do start to mitigate somewhat. One of my big worries about Hulk is that you cannot play it solo with 0 thwart and no good thwarting options. And that basically, in order to play it solo, you'll have to take out the aggression cards that you get in the box and play it with something else that gives you better options for thwarting. Now, there are 2 that we saw previously. Beat Cop is a free cost support, and you can exhaust Beat Cop to move 1 threat from the scheme to it. And then it's got an action that lets you exhaust and discard Beat Cop and deal 1 damage to a minion for each threat here. So it basically lets you remove 1 threat per turn. If you stay in hero mode most of the time, the scheme will only gain 1 threat per turn. So Beat Cop can actually sit there and get rid of all of the threat. And if this does come in multiples in the deck, and you imagine it probably will, though we will need confirmation when we see the deck list, maybe this could actually be the answer. You'll pay for that. It's a 1-cost event, and it's a hero response thwart. After the villain attacks you, remove 1 threat from a scheme for each damage you took, up to a maximum of 5. So maybe those 2 cards enough will do it. Honestly, if you can get a couple of Beat Cop on the field and stay in hero mode, you should be safe in terms of thwarting. And then you can just focus on smashing. So that's a little roundup of what we've seen previously, but we've had a bunch of new cards we can see. So bad publicity, I will link all these dudes in the description. Please, please, please go and just give a click on each of the links. Go and check them out. I love this game, they love this game, and they're doing great work to push the game forward. Crushing Blow is a one-cost event. You are only allowed to spend physical resources to pay for it, but you deal damage to an enemy equal to your attack. So combine it with Boundless Rage and you're paying 1 to deal 4 damage. That's kind of ridiculous. I don't believe it would work with Hulk Smash, because Hulk Smash, I believe, only actually works when you are attacking. It raises your attack for that attack, whereas this looks at your general attack. But still, with Boundless Rage, it's a one-cost card that does 4 damage. We don't see one-cost cards that do 4 damage. If you look at something like Spider-Man, we see Swinging Web Kick, which is a free-cost card that does 8 damage. This is very, very good. Moving over to Dexcelsior, they have shown off She-Hulk as an ally, and of course this is kind of cool because we have previously seen She-Hulk coming in as a character. She was in the core set as an aggression character, and I must confess I've been playing quite a bit with She-Hulk the last few days. I'm not loving her like I like Doctor Strange. I don't think she's as good a character, but if you want a very aggressive, hard-hitting character, she's got your back. Now, 4 cost to play is quite high. 4 health is what you would expect from a 4 cost. 2 thwart on an ally is really good, especially in the aggression deck, but she's got to take 2 consequential damage in order to use it. If you can get some tough counters down so that she can thwart without taking any damage, yes. And remember, I have told you that one of the big challenges we're going to have with Hulk is keeping the threat under control. I have no issues, I have no worries about Hulk being able to deal damage and take out the villain. That doesn't concern me in the least. What does concern me is being able to actually get rid of the threat. Now, the other thing we need to remember about She-Hulk here is that as a 4 cost, you are going to really struggle to play this when you're in hero mode, because Hulk only has a hand size of 4 in hero mode, and you've got to discard your hand. You cannot stash cards in your hand, which means you need to be able to draw something like Limitless Strength in order to actually be able to play this card. Because if you haven't got any multiple resource cards, you're not going to be able to play her. Now, the 1 attack with 1 consequential damage seems fairly poor for She-Hulk, given how aggressive she should be. But you get +1 attack for each damage token here. So in theory, you attack once for 1 damage, you take a damage. And then the next turn, you attack for 2 damage, take a damage. Then 3 damage, take a damage. Then 4 damage, and you go away. Although, again, if you can get a tough counter on there when you're hitting for 4, that could be kind of awesome. She-Hulk is expensive and runs out very quickly. Certainly, if you can get some tough counters rolling here, I do believe this could be phenomenal. As it is, there are going to be plenty of games where you're probably going to need her just to keep the threat under control. Now, the lovely folks over at Marvel Champions Monthly have gone and shown us another aggression card here. It is the 2-cost upgrade Martial Prowess. It can be played under any player's control, but it is limited to 1 per player, so we know it's going to be good. You exhaust Martial Prowess, and you generate a physical resource for an attack event. And it does need to be for an attack event. Which... yeah. This is what worries me here. We've seen plenty of things along these lines, but you're generally given a little bit more of a little bit more leeway. So, for instance, if we were to go over to the Doctor Strange deck, we could have a look at Eye of Agamotto, for instance. And Eye of Agamotto is a 2-cost upgrade, so the same thing we see here, except you exhaust it to generate any resource, and it doesn't need to be for a particular purpose. Now, that is also a hero resource rather than a general resource, which can be used in either mode, but I like it less than I like cards like Eye of Agamotto. Having said that, it's still a really nice option for getting your resources rolling. And if you've got attack events that you really do want to use, that's lovely. But I do think it's slightly underpowered compared to some other cards that we've seen. Having said that, if you've played a lot of the game, I'm sure a lot of you have, I certainly have, you'll notice that cards like Eye of Agamotto that do generate extra resources do tend to be very widely played. You do tend to try and play them down if at all possible, because they come in super handy. Now, the other aggression card that has been shown off by the lovely folks over at the side scheme, and it is an ally. It is Sentry. Now, if we just look at the stats, Sentry is phenomenal. 4-cost ally is very expensive, and again, like we said with She-Hulk here, it is going to be awkward getting this into play sometimes, especially when you're in hero mode. But you've got 5 health, which is high, 2 thwart with 1 consequential damage, which is redonk, and 3 attack with 1 consequential damage, which is redonk. You can use Sentry 5 times before it goes down, and you're either thwarting 2 or attacking 3. It is definitely one of the very, very best allies we've seen so far, if you look purely at the stats. Looking beyond the stats, after Sentry enters play under your control, deal yourself 1 encounter card. Oh. Yeah, you see, at the end of the villain turn, when those encounter cards get resolved, there is going to be an extra one sitting there waiting for you. I'm not terribly upset about this. I don't like it, don't get me wrong. But I find a lot of the time, like for instance, if you run out of your hero deck, you deal an extra encounter card. There are plenty of side schemes that make you deal an extra encounter card, etc. I don't love being dealt an extra encounter card, but I don't think it's a game-breaking thing most of the time. There are always exceptions. There are always those turns where advance comes out and you ain't ready for it and it literally loses you the game because the villain schemes and wins. Those games happen. But most of the time an encounter card isn't going to break it. And Sentry, like, as soon as you played it, you only have the one downside and then it's just ridiculous. I mean, if you can get like Sentry and She-Hulk down, you're going to have a very, very fun time. Now, there are a couple of other cards that have been shown. Critical Encounters have gone and showed us Clash of the Titans, a treachery card with 3 boost icons, but there's always one of them. It is one of the Hulk Nemesis cards, so we are expecting it to be pretty punishing. And when revealed, the enemy with the highest attack value attacks a hero or ally with the highest attack value. If there is a tie, the first player decides. If no attack was made this card game Surge, you just deal an extra encounter card. Generally speaking, that's gonna happen because there is gonna be an enemy and there is gonna be a hero. I don't see many situations where this wouldn't give you Surge. If there are no heroes, you've lost the game. If there are no enemies, you've won the game. Hey-ho. This can be harsh. This can be especially harsh against something like Sentry, where you really do not want that going down. But most of the time, the hero with the highest attack is going to be Hulk, and you're going to have 18 or maybe 22 hit points, and you're going to be all right. It's an extra attack, but that's fine. There are going to be some turns where a minion attacks you and you really don't want it to. Like Abomination, for instance, has an attack of 3, but after he attacks you, you discard the top card of your deck, and if a physical resource was discarded, you take 2 more damage. So it may well be that Abomination ends up dropping 5 damage on you, and that sucks. But I think most of the time, you'll be able to manage this, especially with Hulk's giant hit points. And then iRebel have gone and shown off a leadership card. Now, clearly this is not from the Hulk/Aggression deck. Clearly this is one of the extra cards we always get in the decks to put into other decks, as it were. It's a lovely random leadership card we're getting. Now, you're only allowed to play it if your identity has the Avenger trait, and it's got a hero action where you heal 1 damage from an ally and ready it. That's alright. I mean, healing 1 damage basically means an extra use. Most of the time, when you're using allies, you use them, they take 1 consequential damage. So what you're doing here, for a 1 cost event, you heal 1 damage, basically giving you an extra use of your ally, while readying it, giving you that extra use right now. And actually, as I'm sitting here talking about it, I'm kind of falling in love with this. This actually seems like really good. Imagine Sentry. You get another attack for free now, and you don't, well, you essentially don't take a damage to do it. Yeah, maybe I'm kind of loving Inspiring Presence. Although, to be clear, right, Sentry is an aggression card, and Inspiring Presence is a leadership card. You're only going to be able to put them in the same deck with Spider-Woman, but that's a story for another day. It's just an example, ladies and gentlemen. It's just an example. Thank you to all those lovely content creators for showing off those lovely cards. Like I've said, one more time, please go and check them out. They're lovely dudes making the game better and pushing it forward. Give them some love, would ya? For now, I am really excited about the Hulk Hero Pack. And maybe it's because I know I'm not going to get another new Hero Pack for another 3 months and I'm itching for a new Hero Pack. Or maybe it's just because I'm a bit of a Hulk fanboy and have been for years. Or maybe it's these cards look especially exciting. Or maybe a mixture of all of them. Either way, I want to know what you think. I want to know if I'm exaggerating. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Marvel Champions and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.